few ways that you can diagnose problems in the general concept and structure of your story before you start to write them. Figuring out what these problems are early can save you a lot of time down the line and also set you up for success if you are trying to pitch a story to agents or editors. So I went to a conference a couple of weeks ago and attended a session where one of the speakers talked about how to write an effective 1 to 2 sentence pitch when trying to pitch an agent or an editor. One of the things that the speaker talked about in that session was how you can use a 1 to 2 sentence pitch and the exercise of trying to come up with a good pitch to diagnose problems in your story. Because every single story has to have certain things in it to be a compelling story. Like every story has to have a character who wants something, something standing in their way, stakes, and the act of arranging all of these things into a compelling pitch can help boil down for you exactly what your story is about and can help you realize if you are missing any key elements to your story. This exercise really helped me with a project I'm working on now. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly what the exercise is, what the key elements of a pitch are, and how you can jam all of the elements of your story into the pitch to get a clearer understanding as to what your story actually is about, and potentially even get some inspiration for some rewrites or restructuring that you could do to make it even stronger. This video is not focused on how to create a pitch or a logline. The general structure I'm going to give you does fit the general structure of a pitch, like that's the right structure to fit when you're writing a pitch, but we're not going to go into any of the details that we would need to cover in order for you to write a compelling pitch. We're going to focus primarily on how to force all of the elements of your story into this structure to see if your story functions in a compelling way or not. So first, what is a story? I'm a strong believer that every story follows the same formula. Every compelling story has a character who wants something. They can't get the thing they want, but then they change because of the plot or the obstacles thrown in their way, and they ultimately get what they need. So when you're pitching a story, your job is not to summarize everything that happens in your story, but just to give enough of an idea as to who the character is, what this thing that they want is, what the obstacle is, and what they stand to lose if they don't get it, that allows the person hearing the pitch to get a pretty simple, clear understanding of what your book is about. So pitches generally follow either one of these two structures. Think of this like Mad Libs. So the first Mad Lib pitch that you have is that you have the protagonist plus the inciting incident plus what the character wants plus the obstacle plus the stakes. All of these 5 ingredients put together is your story. You can write a pitch that looks more like when the inciting incident happens to your protagonist, they must overcome their central conflict or obstacle to get the thing they want, or else they lose something really important. So your protagonist refers to your main character, the person that the story is about. You may be writing a story where you have multiple main characters or multiple point of view characters. For your pitch, you kind of have to choose one. So you typically choose the one that either has the most compelling story or is just the one that is mostly, the book is mostly about that character. It might have some other important characters in it, but the main thrust of the story follows this certain character. Your protagonist want is the thing that your character wants to achieve. So if they want to go on a quest and discover golden treasure, they want to go discover that gold. Or if their sister's been kidnapped and they need to go save their sister, their want is to save their sister. It's the thing that drives them through the story, that keeps them from just sitting on the couch for the whole book, the thing that forces them to move through the actions of the plot. The obstacle are the things that stand in your character's way of getting the things that they want. So let's say that they want to, go find a hidden gold treasure that is somewhere buried in their town. Some obstacles could be other people that also want to find this gold. Some other kids in their town that are really mean to them that keep throwing a wrench in their plan. Rivalries within their group. Maybe one of them goes out to try to get it for themselves. They can't all work together. They're things that complicate the character from just getting what they want on the first page. The inciting incident is the point in your story where the conflict starts. The conflict is the tension that occurs when your protagonist goes up against the antagonistic force or obstacle in your story, and the protagonist is trying to get what they want, but then the obstacle is trying to stop them from getting what they want, and that is the conflict of the story. So the inciting incident is the point in which that conflict starts. So if your story is about like a little boy who goes missing and the girl trying to find the boy is like the main part of the story, the inciting incident would be when the boy goes missing. If it's a romance where like girl meets cute cowboy after she moves to small town and they fall in love, the inciting incident would be the point that she meets the cute cowboy. And then the things that are at stake are the things that your character stands to lose if they don't accomplish the thing that they want. So in the most interesting stories, your character usually wants something, but they also really need to get the thing that they want. It's not just like, oh, I would love to have $1 million, because of course, who wouldn't love to have $1 million? But it's more interesting if it's like, if I don't get that $1 million, my entire family's gonna starve. I need to get that $1 million. It's not just that I want to, I really have to, or I'm gonna lose all of this other stuff. So those 5 elements are really the main elements of your story, and those are gonna be the things that you want to get across in your pitch. The point of this exercise is to take your general story and try to shove it into this pitch structure. Like it's Mad Libs. You figure out who your protagonist is, what they want, what the obstacle is, and literally slot it into one of these 2 structures, like it's Mad Libs, and see how that goes. This might be really easy, and everything might fit in there really easily, or you may find, like I did, that things are a little bit more complicated than what this pitch is allowing you to put in there. Maybe as you do this exercise, you realize that you actually don't have stakes, that the thing that your character wants, they're not going to lose a lot if they don't accomplish that thing. And so that's a really great thing to know, because then you can go and you can rewrite your story to add more stakes and immediately improve your conflict. This is a great exercise for diagnosing problems in your story, and so I highly recommend, even just as you're watching this video, go grab a sticky note or a random scrap of paper and try to put your story idea into this structure. You should have something that looks somewhat like this. This is the example that I just put together when I was writing my notes for this video. When a shy teen girl watches her older sister get murdered by a masked man, she must overcome her fear of horror movies and go back in time to uncover the identity of the killer before he strikes again and her sister's life is gone for good. I followed like the when ... structure option, but a shy teen girl, that's your protagonist, watches her older sister get murdered by a masked man. That's the inciting incident. She must overcome her fear of horror movies. That is the obstacle. And go back in time to uncover the identity of the killer. That's what she wants to do. That's her goal, is to uncover the identity of the killer before he strikes again and her sister's life is gone for good. That's what's at stake. If she fails, her sister dies for real. Admittedly, fear of horror movies is not a great obstacle. You can also probably choose something a little bit more visual, like she has to overcome the fact that the killer is on the loose, or like that, no, that's not specific enough. Like the killer is hunting her. Like everybody is going to be afraid. Like it's not like overcome her fear of like being murdered by a serial killer, because like who isn't afraid of that? But there has to be some sort of obstacle in there and something that she has to overcome. That right there gives you a pretty clear understanding of what this hypothetical story would be about. And this is easy for me to do right now because I haven't written a book, anything like that. Like I just pulled this out of the air as I was just brainstorming it. But if you'd written a book and were trying to do this exercise with the book that you'd written, it could be a lot more challenging because you probably have a lot of things going on in your book. And this can really boil down what your story is about and how you could pitch it to agents and editors. And that information, like if it's really hard for you to boil it down into this exercise, could give you some ideas as to revisions you can make to it if you wanted to revise it again before submitting it. Yeah, that's all I have for this video. This was just an exercise that I found really helpful, so I wanted to make a video sharing it in case that it also helped you. When I did it, I realized that I had way overcomplicated a couple of elements of my story, and that there was a much simpler way for me to add stakes than what I had originally done with the story. And so I'm currently in the process of rewriting it to fit what I learned and discovered through doing this exercise. But if you did this exercise and you wrote a logline or short little pitch, please post it in the comments because I would love to read them. And if you have any questions about this exercise or the process or any of the story elements or anything like that, let me know in the comments. I'd be super happy to do my best to answer them. If you have a second, I'd be super grateful if you could like this video and also subscribe to my channel. My name is Claire Fraze, and I'm an award-winning author who makes videos sharing actionable writing tips that helped me make my own writing better. I'm the author of the paranormal thriller They Stay series, which follows a 16-year-old girl whose younger brother goes missing and is kidnapped by an evil necromancer, and she and her 3 friends have to go and stop the evil guy and save her brother before he uses his body to bring another boy's ghost back from the dead. So it gets pretty dark and horror-y and is a very fun, like, supernatural horror adventure, so if that sounds up your alley, you can go check out my books in the comments. Oh, and the conference that I went to where I learned about this exercise, it was the Writer's Digest annual conference, which was very interesting and informative. So yeah, if you have any questions about what that conference is like, I'd be super happy to chat about it in the comments as well. Hope you have a fantastic week, everybody. And as always, happy writing.